Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another Astro Trivia Night. I'm your hostess, Dr. Ilana McDonald, and I'll be getting you to answer some fun questions about astronomy tonight. We're going to wait a few minutes for people to join. But in the meantime, please go to kahoot.it and enter the game pin that you see at the top of the screen in order to play. When you sign in, you will be asked for your email. If you want to win a prize, then we do need your email to be able to get in touch with you, but we promise not to ever send you anything other than just, we want to get your address so we can send you a prize. So go to kahoot.it, enter the game pin 1943510. You can also join via the QR code that's at the top of the screen. Or go to the Kahoot app and enter the same game pin. It's really great to see so many people from all over the place today. We've got some people from Toronto, we've got some people from Quebec, we've got some people from around Ontario, we've got someone from Detroit. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's great to see you all. Very excited for our theme today, which is aliens, so that's kind of fun. So I'm just going to give it a couple more minutes for more people to join. It looks like there are lots and lots of people here tonight, so that's really, really great. And then we'll get started in just a minute or two. So once again, for those of you just joining the stream, please go to kahoot.it, enter the game pin that you see at the top of the stream. We'll pin it in the chat as well, just so you have a good idea of what it is, and you can just copy and paste it, and then we'll get started. And once again, please do put your real email address if you are interested in winning a prize. Otherwise, we won't be able to contact you. So I'm going to give it let's give it another minute or two. While we're waiting, if you want to say where you're watching from in the chat, you can totally do that. Let's give it one more minute so that a couple more people can join, and then we'll get started. I love the names that Kahoot comes up with. Hello from Montreal, hello from Toronto. Great to see you all today. All right, so we're going to start to get started. Yes, we're going to get started in just a moment. Before we do, I wanted to do a little land acknowledgement. So we wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. So I'm currently on the campus of the University of Toronto, and it is important to acknowledge whose land it was in the past. All right, so we're gonna start to get going here now that it seems like a bunch of you have joined. If anybody is coming in a little bit later, there is always the opportunity to join late. The game pin will remain on the screen throughout the game. Okay, let's get going. So our theme this week, or this month, is aliens, and we'll see how that goes. But before we get started, I just wanted to go over some of the rules for the game. So anyone can play, obviously. If you're joining from anywhere in the world, you're welcome to join in. But unfortunately, we can only send prizes to Canadian addresses that are outside Quebec. So I'm sorry, Quebec. I'm sorry, everywhere else that is in Canada. We can't send you prizes, but we really, really do welcome you to play along and try to answer some of the questions. One little caveat, people with graduate degrees in astronomy or some equivalent expertise are unfortunately not eligible to win prizes. So if you have a PhD in astrophysics, you have a bit of an unfair advantage. If you're under the age of 18, make sure you have your parents' permission to play. And with that being said, make sure to keep the chat respectful and family friendly, since there will be potentially people under the age of 18 present. And finally, as I already said at the beginning, if you want to win a prize, you have to use your real email address on Kahoot, and we promise that we won't use it for any reason except for to contact the winners. So if you do not put your real email address in, unfortunately, we won't be able to send you a prize or contact you to send you a prize. But we do promise that we won't send you any spam. The only reason we'll contact you is to let you know that you were a winner and to ask you for your address so we can send you a prize. Speaking of which, the prizes are pretty dang exciting this month. So the prize number 1 is this X-Files cross stitch, which is handmade in Canada by a seller in Canada, and it is related to the show X-Files, and we just think it's the coolest thing. So handmade cross stitch from X-Files. We also have a $40 gift certificate to Back of Phoenix, which is a Toronto sci-fi bookshop, and they also do have an online store, so if you're not specifically in Toronto, you can still claim this prize. And it was so popular last month that we decided to bring it back. And then finally, our third prize is all sorts of fun Dunlap Institute swag. So one of our really nice tumblers, a squishy stress star, and a t-shirt. So all of these are great prizes. If you win first place, you get your first choice of prize. If you win second place, you get the second choice of prize, and so on and so forth. All right, let's get on to the questions. So we're getting our start with some more sciencey things. So what is the name of the equation that estimates the number of communicative alien civilizations in our galaxy? Is it the many worlds equation? Is it the extraterrestrial intelligence equation? Is it the Drake equation? Or is it the Sagan equation? So what is the name of the equation, which you can see on the screen right now, that estimates the number of communicative alien civilizations in our galaxy? All right, it seems like most of you got the answer right. Congratulations. So it is called the Drake equation, invented by Frank Drake, to try and estimate the number of alien civilizations in our galaxy. And I'll show this equation once more because I just want to go through it real quick. What it basically shows is the number of communicative alien civilizations that should be in our galaxy, which is represented by this alien face here. And what it is the rate of star formation in our galaxy multiplied by the fraction of stars in our galaxy that have planets, the number of those, the number per system of habitable Earth-like planets, the fraction of those that develop life, the fraction of those that develop intelligent life, and then multiplied by the fraction of those that are able to communicate via radio signals or otherwise. And then this L here is just the length of time in years that a civilization could exist. And that you multiply all these things together, and that gives you the number of civilizations in our galaxy. So let's take a look at our scoreboard before we go any farther. And it looks like Captain Octopus has, well, actually, Captain Octopus and Charming Owl are in the lead, with Adorable Ibex, Gentle Impala, and Jolly Swan very close behind. So that's amazing. Just make sure that you get those answers in really quickly, because the faster you answer, the more points you get. So if you get your answers in quickly and they're correct, then you'll get more points and you'll be at the top of the scoreboard. Let's move on to our next question. True or false? Based on Drake's equation, which we just saw, the estimate for the number of civilizations in our galaxy varies by a factor of 10. Is this true or false? So get those answers in quickly. For each question, I should probably say you have about 30 seconds to answer. So based on Drake's equation, the number of civilizations in our galaxies varies by a factor of 10. Is this true or false? Get those answers in as quickly as you can. You've got 2 seconds left and time is up. So it looks like there's a pretty even split between true and false here. The answer is in fact false. The factor that this varies by is much, much, much larger than a factor of 10. It's actually several orders of magnitude. I think there's a difference between, there could either be like 0.0000 and then 13 zeros, 0.1, civilizations in our galaxy. So essentially we would be the only civilization in our galaxy. And it varies all the way up until, there could be tens of millions of civilizations in our galaxy. So the estimate for the number of civilizations in our galaxy actually varies by a factor of much, much, much more than a factor of 10. So the Drake equation has a lot of uncertainties in it, and therefore it's difficult to estimate how many civilizations might be in our galaxy. Looking at our scoreboard once again, it has changed a little bit in that Captain Octopus is still in the lead, but Gentle Impala, Jolly Swan, and Clever Tiger have all moved up, as has Daring Lobster. So let's keep going and see how the rest of this goes. Our next question is, what is the name of the radio telescope array dedicated to the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, also known as SETI? And ignore the typo in that question. Is it the Allen Telescope Array, the Arecibo Telescope, the National Radio Astronomy Observatory, or the Square Kilometer Array? So which of these radio telescope arrays is dedicated to the search for extraterrestrial intelligence? So you've got about 5 seconds left. Get those answers in. And it looks like a good portion of you got it correct. It is in fact the Allen Telescope Array, which is the only radio telescope array that is completely dedicated to the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Looking at our scoreboard once more, we've got Jolly Swan, who's jumped into the lead, with Bright Falcon and Bronze Yak in a close second and third. Our next question is, how is U of T undergrad Peter Ma using AI to aid in the search for extraterrestrial communications? Is it by recognizing the difference between alien signals and human interference? By simulating possible technological signatures from alien civilizations? By designing the perfect radio telescope? Or by more efficiently looking at the atmospheres of extrasolar planets? So what is Peter Ma using AI to help in the search for extraterrestrial communications? Or how is he? Very good. So it looks like it was a pretty even split between the first answer and the last answer. But the first one is correct, and slightly more of you got that one. And it is, in fact, by recognizing the differences between alien signals and human interference. So this was actually just a press release that came out just this past week. There was an undergraduate student here at U of T doing research, and part of his project was to design an algorithm that would use artificial intelligence to help recognize that difference between something that might be an alien signal and all of the noise that humans are putting out all the time on the Earth. So, the cell phone conversations and TV signals and everything in between. So this was a very exciting research result that came out just this week from the University of Toronto. All right. Moving onwards and upwards, let's look at that scoreboard again. We've got a change up once again. We've got Bronze Yak in first place, Excited Zebra and Knowing Yeti in second and third. So let's keep going and see how it changes up after the next question. All right, so if liquid water is a key to life, where else in the solar system besides Earth might we expect to find life? So if liquid water is key to life, where else in the solar system besides the Earth, obviously, might we expect to find life? Is it on Mars, on Europa, which is a moon of Jupiter, on Venus, or in the asteroid belt? So if liquid water is the key to life, where else in the solar system do we expect to find it? Amazing. Most of you got the correct answer. I know it's always tempting to put Mars, but there's not a lot of liquid water on Mars. So the best answer here is Europa, which is a moon of Jupiter, which under its icy surface actually has more liquid water on it than the entire planet Earth. So there's a lot of water on this moon, and it's warm enough to you know maybe, well, at least be liquid and maybe host life. So, there might be some bacterial extremophiles under the surface. Of course, we don't know until we actually send a probe there to look under that surface, which I hope will happen soon. All right, let's look at that scoreboard once again and see how everyone's doing. Bronze Yak has maintained their lead with Excited Zebra and Knowing Yeti still in second and third place. Let's keep going. All right, so this was big news in 2020, if you recall. What molecule in Venus's atmosphere, thought to be an indication of life, was mistakenly detected by ALMA in the year 2020? Was it molecular oxygen, phosphine, methane, or carbon dioxide? So which of these molecules was detected in Venus's atmosphere, or thought to be detected, by the radio telescope ALMA in the year 2020? Get those answers in. And yes, you're correct. It is, in fact, phosphine. So this is a molecule that is thought to be a byproduct of life. And ALMA measurements of the atmosphere of Venus thought that they made a major detection of this phosphine in the atmosphere of Venus. And it was a big press release, and it was very exciting for about a couple of weeks. And then, unfortunately, they double-checked the data, and there was not nearly as much phosphine as they thought there was. So that was a little bit disappointing, but an interesting exercise nonetheless, because Venus isn't typically the type of place where you think that life could exist, because it's so dang hot. All right, looking at that scoreboard once again, Bronze Yak is in the lead still with Excited Zebra in second place, but Great Sable has moved up to third and Witty Gazelle up to fourth. So that's very exciting. Moving on to the next question. In the late 19th century, what imagined features on Mars were thought to be evidence of an ancient civilization? I should say ancient alien civilization. So in the late 19th century, what imagined features on Mars were thought to be evidence of an ancient civilization? Was it canals? Was it the face on Mars? Was it agricultural fields? Or was it cities? So which of these features was imagined to be seen on Mars and might have been, or thought to be, a marker of an ancient civilization? And it appears to have frozen up a little bit, but there we go. All right, and most of you got the correct answer, and it was, in fact, canals. So several astronomers in the late 19th century thought that they could see these straight lines on the surface of Mars, which they thought were, in fact, canals, which Martians would use to travel from one Martian city to another. Of course, we know now that there are no canals on Mars, but it was kind of an interesting time to be observing Mars. All right, let's move to the scoreboard. Bronze Yak is still in the lead. The scoreboard hasn't changed that much otherwise, but Jolly Swan has moved to fourth place. So let's keep going. All right. What is the Perseverance rover doing on Mars to advance the field of astrobiology? So Perseverance, this little rover going around Mars, is it looking for organisms living on Mars today? Is it determining if Mars is currently habitable to humans? Is it looking for signs of ancient life on Mars? Or is it launching samples from Mars into space? So, which of these things is Perseverance doing to advance the field of astrobiology? Time is up. Look at the scoreboard, and it looks like once again, most of you got the answers. So, in fact, the Perseverance rover is looking for signs of ancient life on Mars. So, it's unknown as to whether or not Mars has ever had life on it, bacterial or otherwise, or if it currently has life. We think probably not in the current era, but there is a possibility that in the distant past it did in fact have, maybe some bacterial life on it, since there was liquid water on its surface. So it is not looking for any organisms living on Mars today, but it is in fact looking for signs of ancient life on Mars. And regarding the last answer of launching samples from Mars into space, it isn't launching any samples into space, but it is taking a lot of samples that it's dropping behind it that hopefully can be recovered by people later on to do a further analysis of, whatever it's picking up on Mars. All right, let's look at that scoreboard once again, and it has changed a little bit, but geez, Bronziak, you're doing so great. You've maintained that lead with Excited Zebra in second place. We've got Jolly Swan, who's moved up to third, and now Zany Seal has moved up to fourth. Amazing. Our next question is, towards which object was the Arecibo message sent in 1974 directed? Was it the exoplanet 51 Pegasi b? Was it the star Vega? Was it the globular cluster M13? Or was it the Andromeda galaxy? So this message, the Arecibo message, which was sent out into space in 1974, towards which object was it directed? And your time is up. So let's see how you did. Ooh, a much more even spread, but in fact it is the globular cluster M13, which is, I think, just over 10,000 light years away. And so it would take a long time for that message to get there. But yes, in fact, this message sent out by the Arecibo telescope was sent towards that globular cluster. I can't remember exactly the reasoning behind it, but that was why. So here is a stained glass of the Arecibo message, which was in fact partially designed by Frank Drake, who made up the Drake equation, and he can be seen right next to it. The Arecibo message contained all sorts of interesting things, which we will discuss more in the next question. So let's look at that scoreboard before we go any further. And oh my goodness, Jolly Swan has moved into the lead, pushing Bronziak down into second place. So let's see how everything switches up after this next question. What element do the Arecibo message and the message from the aliens in the film Contact have in common? So is it the Fibonacci series, the prime number sequence, a representation of the galaxy, or coordinates to the for the 12 nearest radio pulsars? So which of these elements does the Arecibo message and the message from aliens in the film, or message from the aliens in the film Contact, have in common? And Max in the chat just said, it's a book. Yes, it is also a book. And most of you, once again, got this correct. It is, in fact, the prime number sequence. So in the movie Contact, and I believe in the book as well, the prime number sequence is sort of sent in these pulses, with one pulse and then two pulses and then three pulses and then five pulses going up and onwards, to show that they were not just random pulses from space, but they were in fact prime number, or they were in fact coming from an intelligent species. And the Arecibo message, which we saw in the previous question, also had the prime number sequence, the first few prime numbers, to indicate that we are an intelligent species who hopefully other alien species will realize, that we know what we're talking about. And the Arecibo message also contained things like the human form, the shape of the telescope, what a DNA strand looked like. I believe some amino acids coded up. So all sorts of interesting information that hopefully would tell us something, tell aliens something about us. All right, after all that, let's move on to our scoreboard. It's mixed up just a little bit, with Jolly Swan still in the lead, but Knowing Yeti and Witty Gazelle having moved to second and third place. So remember, answer those questions quickly, and you might be able to climb up on the scoreboard. In the book and movie Contact, so another question about contact, from which star did that alien signal that we were just talking about originate? Was it Polaris? Was it Altair? Was it Deneb? Or was it Vega? So in the book and movie Contact, from which star system did the alien signal originate? So remember, get those answers in quick. Got about 9 seconds left. Here we go. And your time is up. Most of you got this correct. It was, in fact, the star Vega, which is a star that's about 40 light years away. I believe in the book, it was actually just used as a relay place, and the alien civilization actually came from somewhere else, but I might be misremembering. But fun fact, the movie Contact was actually one of the things that got me interested in studying astronomy in the first place. So I thought it was great. And the book I read many years later, and I loved it even more. All right, let's look at that scoreboard once again. Not much has changed here. Everyone is in the lead, is still doing well, it's still in the lead, but that can always change after the next question. So let's see how it goes. All right, one about a recent and not so recent movie. What did James Cameron admit was the greatest scientific problem with the Na'vi, the blue humanoid creatures on Pandora, the planet, in his movie Avatar? So, was it that they are mostly a peaceful species, that they are naturally blue in color, that they have telepathic connections via their cues, or is it that they only have 4 limbs and not 6? So I don't know who saw Avatar 2 recently, but this will give you a definite advantage. And your time is up. And it is, in fact, that they only have 4 limbs and not 6. So James Cameron, in Avatar, all of the vertebrates appear to have 6 limbs, so something equivalent to 4 arms and 2 legs. But the Na'vi only have 2 arms and 2 legs. So the idea is that, I don't know, maybe at some point the arms fused, or there's some vestigial arms hiding under their armpits somewhere. However, James Cameron admitted that this was a problem, but that it was a lot easier to get actors to just have 2 arms instead of 4. So, that's how it goes. All right, let's look at that scoreboard once again. We've got Knowing Yeti moved to the lead. Excellent job pushing Jolly Swan to second. All right, let's keep going. Now we get into some really good stuff. The first 6 seasons of The X-Files were filmed in which Canadian city? So X-Files, a show from the 90s that was famously about aliens in general. Was it filmed in Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, or Edmonton? So yes, the first 6 seasons were filmed in a Canadian city. Which one was it? Got about 5 seconds left, so get those answers in. And the answer is Vancouver. It's always tempting to say Toronto because we feel like we're the center of the universe, but it was in fact filmed in Vancouver for the first 6 seasons. Let's look at our scoreboard once again. So, hasn't changed much. Knowing Yeti is still in the lead, with Jolly Swan in second and Witty Gazelle in third. Now we have another X-Files question. In the X-Files, Agent Mulder has a poster of a presumed flying saucer hanging in his office. What does this poster say? Does it say, I want to believe? Does it say, the truth is out there? Does it say, Area 51? Or does it say, so long and thanks for all the fish? So what does that poster of a flying saucer in Agent Mulder's office say? You've got about 8 seconds left. So let's get those answers in. And in fact, it was I Want to Believe. And those of you who were paying attention to the prizes at the beginning of the game would have gotten this answer correct, because that is in fact the poster that is cross-stitched as one of our prizes. Exactly, prize one had it. All right, looking once again at our scoreboard, we've got pretty much the same scores, but if you get those answers in quickly, you can get onto that scoreboard if you haven't already. Moving on to our next question. In what year did the CIA publicly acknowledge the existence of Area 51, which is famous in a lot of TV shows for being a place where they do alien autopsies? Was it 1955? Was it 1970? Was it 2001? Or was it 2013? So in which year did the CIA publicly acknowledge the existence of Area 51? And once again, a little bit of an even spread, but it was in fact in 2013, which was fairly recently, considering how long it's been around, which was, it was first opened in 1955, which is the first date here, which only 3 of you picked. So good job. All right, let's look at that scoreboard once again. It has changed very little, but Swift 10 has moved into 3rd place. So good job to you. All right. So this next one is a little bit sad, but which comet visible to the naked eye in 1997 did the Heaven's Gate cult claim to be hiding an alien spacecraft? Was it Halley's Comet, Comet Shoemaker-Levy 9, Comet Hale-Bopp, or the Swift-Tuttle Comet? So which of these comets did the Heaven's Gate cult claim to be hiding an alien spacecraft? Two seconds left, 1, 0, and an even spread between Halley and Hale-Bopp, which are both two very famous comets, but it was in fact the comet Hale-Bopp, which was a beautiful comet that I got to see when I was a kid, and it also inspired me to go into astronomy because I got to see it with my naked eye, and it was beautiful. You could see it right after sunset, and you could clearly see that beautiful blue tail. What's sad, though, is that there were a whole bunch of people who, committed suicide because they thought their spirits would go up to the alien spacecraft that was hiding behind it, which in fact was not there at all. But it was a very beautiful comet. Here, I'll show it once again. Look at those lovely tails. Yes, beautiful comet. All right, let's move on to that scoreboard. A little bit of change, but not much, but Fuzzy Echidna is on the board in 5th place. Good job to you. Our next question is, which iconic science fiction horror movie had the iconic tagline, iconic twice, in space no one can hear you scream? Was it Killer Clowns from Outer Space? Was it Alien? Was it The Thing? Or was it Event Horizon? So which of these iconic science fiction horror movies had the tagline, in space no one can hear you scream? Get those answers in. You've got 7 seconds left. And your time is up. And yes, most of you got this correct. It is in fact Alien, which is the theme of this trivia night. So I'm glad you picked up on that. Great movie. One of my favorite science fiction horror movies, or horror movies in general. I just think it's so well done. And great suspense. All right, looking once again at our scoreboard. Again, not many changes, but Lively Turtle has made it back on the scoreboard in 5th place. Moving on. Our next question is, When was the first recorded flying saucer sighting? Was it in 1531? Was it in 1882? Was it in 1947? Or was it in 1965? So when was the first recorded flying saucer sighting? Which may or may not be that picture. It was actually not photographed, but when was it first sighted? Got 3 seconds left. 2, 1. And nice little split between 1882 and 1947, but it was in fact in 1947 when a gentleman whose name I'm forgetting right now saw something in the sky which he thought looked like a flying saucer, and he thought it might be of alien origin. So that's where that whole thing started, and now it's just a trope to think that aliens travel around in flying saucers. Let's take one last look at that scoreboard before our final question. Again, it hasn't changed much, but Inspired Lion is in 5th place now on the board. So answer very quickly for this last question. Try to get those answers in right away, and we'll see how it all goes. Okay, we've got our final question. What radio drama induced panic in the public in 1938 because it was thought to be a true report of an alien invasion? What was it? Was it Mars Attacks? Was it War of the Worlds? Was it The Day the Earth Stood Still? Or was it Invasion of the Body Snatchers? So which radio drama induced panic in the public in 1938 because it was thought to be a true report of an alien invasion? Excellent job. Most of you answered correctly. It was, in fact, The War of the Worlds. Written as a book by H.G. Wells in the late 1800s, and then made into a radio drama by Orson Welles in 1938. And at the beginning of the broadcast, it did say that this was just a radio drama, but some people who tuned in late, it sounded so convincing as a news report that they actually thought that there was an alien invasion in progress. All right, so that was the last question of the night. Let's take a look at our finalists. Who made it to 3rd place? It was, in fact, Swift Hen. Excellent job. In 2nd place, we have Jolly Swan. And our 1st place winner is Knowing Yeti. Excellent job to the 3 of you. Honorable mention to Witty Gazelle and Inspired Lion, who were in 4th and 5th place. Congratulations. We'll be contacting you if you entered your email address into the chat when you signed up for Kahoot. Not in the chat, but on Kahoot. And we'll reach out to the winners to contact them to get their prizes. And I hope you all had fun tonight. Congratulations to everyone who played. You all did a great job. And we're looking forward to seeing you next time. So have a great night, everyone, and watch the skies. There we go. Good night.